Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about the movable C clef. Remember that a clef is a symbol that is used to assign different notes to the lines and spaces of the staff. Up until now, I'm sure all of you are familiar with two clefs, the treble clef and the bass clef, but the treble clef and the bass clef go by other names. The treble clef is also known as the G clef, because the little swirl in the middle here shows us where the note G is. The bass clef is also known as the F clef. This is because the two dots show us where the note F is. So G clef shows us where G is, F clef shows us where F is. A C clef then should show us where C is. So movable C clef means it could go in a few different locations. Let me just pick one. This is by no means all of the locations it could go. It kind of looks like this, like a fancy letter K. And right in the middle here, right at the point of the K, so in this instance on the third line, this is going to show us C. C clef is going to show us where C is. If I put it in another location, say up here, now C is there. However, this doesn't just show us where any C is. It shows us where middle C is. So that means that this C and that C are the equivalent of treble clef, middle C, and bass clef, middle C. All of these are equivalent to each other, C, 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 and C. So that's where the movable C clef goes in two positions and shows us C. Now, when I say it's movable, it can go a lot of different places on any line. So that means that it could go here, or it could go here, or it could go here, or here, or here. And in any of those locations, right in the middle of the K, that's showing us middle C. Now, there's names for all of these, obviously. In the lowest position, this is called soprano clef. Then next up, if you think order of voice parts, next is mezzo soprano clef. Then next is alto clef, tenor clef, and baritone clef. Now look what happens. C moved up each line. If I were to go up one more, that would be a ledger line above the staff. That would put C here. That's where C goes for the bass clef. And I didn't leave room for myself over here, but C, one ledger line down here, that's where C goes for treble clef. So you can see how the pitch C moves up each line through all of the different clefs. Now, this might seem like a lot, but the good news is that you only really need to know when it comes to C clef, it's two positions here, alto and tenor. Those are the most commonly used. Alto clef is used by violists, players of the viola. They use that almost exclusively. Tenor clef is used by some bass clef instruments when their parts go up high. So think cello, bassoon, trombone. Okay, so that's the movable C clef. Now, it comes down to counting if you're not familiar with this clef and knowing that the middle is middle C, wherever the note falls in the middle of the C clef. And then if you're not familiar, you just count up or down to the next available note to figure out what note you're looking at on the staff. So here are some examples down here for us to look at. Let's do the first one of each line. So in alto clef here, first example, if I know the middle is C, and I know as we ascend the staff, we go up in the alphabet. As we descend the staff, we go backwards in the alphabet. This is one position before C, so this is some kind of B. Because it's a B, it's got a flat in front of it. This is B flat. Now, down here, middle C is here. So I could count backwards C, B, A down to this pitch. Or I could know that any note on the second line of a staff is an octave equivalent to here. Those are the same. They'll be the same letter. So instead of counting down to it, I could count up to it. So C, D, E, F. That's an F with a sharp sign, F sharp. You can go ahead and pause the video and try to identify the rest of these, and then we'll go over it. So the rest of these would be E, F, and A sharp. Then down here we have F sharp, D flat, A, and a G. Those are your notes in alto and tenor clef. Now, I always get asked, why do we need these? Why do we need the alto and tenor clef? Can't we just have treble and bass? Or why do we even need two? Why can't we just write everything on one? Well, the answer has to do with ledger lines. And we want music to be written with the fewest amount of ledger lines possible to keep all of the notes for your instrument or voice part in the staff as much as possible because it's easier to read. So the point of clefs is to eliminate or minimize the use of ledger lines. Okay, there you go. There's your lesson on the movable C clef.